From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening of evenings, LA, direct from Santa Monica, California, with your fourth stimulus check update of 2022 and the breaking news that's unfolding overseas that impacts your wallet tonight as well. It's a special 1-hour broadcast tonight. Breaking news with a lot of major developing details that impact your wallet as a result of the events unfolding in Russia and the Kremlin and affecting your power at the pump tonight. Breaking details as the situation unfolding about your big money. The President of the United States to address the American people tonight and will be addressing the economy back at home. What will we be discussing and what will he not be mentioning? I have the latest details direct from Santa Monica tonight. Americans will be getting a fourth stimulus recon. And that fourth stimulus recon, the Build Back Better Act, will be happening, whether or not it's mentioned tonight. I'll explain to you whether the president will be mentioning it in tonight's State of the Union address. But the big money that could come to you first and will be is CR for Stimulus 1.0. The president's opportunity to get a $2,000 stimulus check into a continuing resolution that has an inherent deadline just a few days away from here. But the president has the biggest opportunity of a lifetime, SS 300, right in front of us. But Jay Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, now under pressure to consider whether or not to do a half basis point increase in just a few days from now, but rather a quarter basis point increase. The latest details of what Jay Powell is doing tonight as he's about to testify on Capitol Hill tomorrow. Then we look back at the situation unfolding dramatically, like I've never seen in the history of this channel. In just hours, the price of gasoline in the United States and internationally has gone up several dollars a barrel. This is a major problem. And this is the result of the Russian occupation of Ukraine. The latest details of why Vladimir Putin's acts of aggression are impacting everyone, not internationally, but also domestically, and what the Democrats can do tonight and what Joe Biden may be doing also tonight as well. But we're also going to go over your big money. I'm going to show you how viewers are getting thousands of dollars today, yesterday, and how you can get that big money as well. It's all about the money. I'm going to show you all these incredible details as you're getting checks, lots of checks, cash to them by the hour, by the minute, by the day. And tonight, folks, a lot of breaking news in a special 1-hour broadcast of Evenings LA direct from Santa Monica, California, about your money, about the elements affecting your money, and about the world events that affect your wallet. The financial news starts right now. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful evening. Tonight, the United States will hear the President's State of the Union address. It's a presidential address on prime time and will address where this economy is going, but with specificity or not. All the latest details tonight. We'll be looking at the Build Back Better Act. Will be mentioned tonight or will it not? I'll have the latest that you need to know. Then we'll be looking at the big opportunity to get you checks, and those checks are CR for Stimulus 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, SS 300. And those MSCs in the Build Back Better Act. I'll give you a preview what you should know about tonight's presidential address and what you should also know that's happening across the board. Then, the president and the federal chairman of the Federal Reserve having a lot of issues to deal with. And the first one is inflation. That inflationary front is impacting your SS 300. And Jay Powell is set to testify on Capitol Hill tomorrow. What are the insights tonight across the board? Elsewhere, the President of the United States is having to deal with another issue with Vladimir Putin and Ukraine, which is its impact on the pump. And the gasoline prices surged in a record number I've never seen in the history of this channel. Between broadcasts, it went up several dollars a barrel to the worst level we've seen in several decades. Tonight, the breaking details tonight, what Joe Biden can do as Vladimir Putin's acts of aggression continue to swarm across Ukraine. Are the latest details on the battleground and where we are tonight, and the refugee situation and how it impacts your wallet across the land. A lot of details in tonight's recording, but first we're going to go into the Build Back Better Act, the fourth stimulus recon, that will become law and we'll give you checks, lots of checks, upwards of $15,000 to $60,000 of checks across 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. Also going to go over what you're going to hear about it or not hear about it tonight in tonight's presidential State of the Union address. All right, let's start with that Build Back Better Act, the fourth stimulus recon, which has at least 15,000, but upwards of $60,000 of checks across 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. Let's look at each of them starting right now. The incredible checks are in there. And those incredible checks include that hazard pay and $4,000 of elder care. In this Build Back Better Act, there is a lot of checks, and they're clustered across 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. And that's what you need to know tonight. In that first cluster, I got hazard pay in there for essential workers, 1 more year. The third stimulus extended for 1 more year. $4,000 of care for young children, $4,000 of care for older people. They got in there the Pell Grant for college students, $550 checks, the $3,600 checks for children, and they also got in there the home repairs if you need to repair your home if you live in a low-income community. Now, there is a lot of checks that you all qualify for across this incredible Build Back Better Act. There is 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. The first add-on comes from here in Southern California. At least $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. Wow. Maxine Waters, the legislator here out of Southern California, got this incredible provision in there. And again, that is money for the purchase of your first home. It is huge. The first of 3 add-ons of checks added to the Build Back Better Act, the fourth stimulus recon. Now, when we look at the second cluster of checks, we get even more money across the board. In that second cluster of checks, we have in there the incredible home repairs to weatherize your home and also paid leave. Paid leave is a lot of money, folks. It's $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. If you make $35,000 or more per year, it is $800 a week. If you make $15,000 or more per year, it's $400 a week. What is paid leave? You have to take off from work because you got tired watching Mitch McConnell yawn during the State of the Union address. You have to take off from work because Ted Cruz put you to sleep every time you yawn during the State of the Union address. So how much you get? 4 to 6 weeks per year, W-2, 1099, you all qualify for it. And if you don't work, but your son or daughter does work, they're going to get the check across the board. It's huge. And that is the second cluster of checks. The second add-on of checks come from Bob Casey, but as a result of a campaign promise from Joe Biden. This is the big sum that should have already been law long ago. Can you imagine if you get sick, you don't have home health care, and if you're a senior and person on disabilities, no bueno. So the President of the United States got it in there. It was a campaign promise, and he got it done. And what is this? This is $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Let's go to that third cluster of checks in the Build Back Better Act. Seniors, checks, free internet, checks, and more. Now, if you need free internet, reach out to the volunteers right now. It's available under second stimulus. But in the third stimulus, we find the deliciousness. Checks for farmers, checks for independent contractors, checks for free school meals for all. And then seniors getting 2 checks on the House and more coming on the Senate side. On the House side, they got the Medicaid gap fix, more about that in a second, and the hearing checks. On the Senate side, they got the dental, vision, and lowering the eligibility in Medicare from 65 to potentially 55 added as well. Which is part of the course when we're talking about senators adding checks to the recon, Build Back Better Act. Guess what they also say they're adding to there as well? Of course, MSC. And guess what, folks? They're going in. I'm going to go over the MSC, then we're going to go over the State of the Union address about all this in just a second. But first, let's understand what is MSC. MSC is a body of checks that would be added to the recon, and those MSC checks go out from IRS. Now, there are already checks in the Build Back Better Act. The Build Back Better Act will get passed. The Build Back Better Act will get passed, and those checks will pay you anywhere from $15,000 to $60,000 of checks. But these MSC checks are on top of those. And so who gets some? You get legislators tell viewers of this channel that you're getting if you got a third stimulus check. So let's recap the eligibility. Single individual, $75,000 less annual income, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you get it. Family of 4, you get it as well, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, you get the check as well. It's not California stimulus, we get a surfboard instead. Family of 4, quadruple it. And it goes off the most recent tax return. So if that tax return had a direct deposit account, that's how you get paid, otherwise in the mail. It is not income, it's not taxable, and it's not returnable. So one viewer said, my fiance said I got to return it. No, just return the engagement ring. You still got time. It's 30-day return policy. There you go. That is the Build Back Better Act. How much for those checks? The legislators represent, they would be $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months. And there you go. Those are the details tonight about the MSE. Now, here's what you need to know about what's happening tonight with the President's State of the Union address. This is the second State of the Union address covered on this channel since its creation a year and a half ago. And I know exactly what is going to be happening as soon as that State of the Union address starts to play. I've been recording this all throughout the day, and I started yesterday, but I'm also saying it again tonight. The President's State of the Union address has a purpose, and a purpose that confuses some people. So I would explain to you what you're going to hear tonight and what you're not going to hear tonight and why you're not going to hear certain things tonight. What is a presidential State of the Union address? It's a primetime TV event, folks. It's a ratings primetime event. He's delegated a certain number of minutes in the most lucrative time slot he can to get people behind his political desires. It's not to give you a laundry list. It's not to give you a list of everything he's going to be doing. It's not even to give you a comprehensive list. So, will you hear the word Build Back Better Act tonight? Likely not. Are you going to hear the word check? No. Are you going to hear the word MSC? No. Are you going to hear the word payment? No. Are you going to hear the word stimulus check? No. Are you going to hear anything with specificity? No. You're going to hear home repairs or home improvement or SALT cap or rent assistance because of COVID. No, you're not going to hear any of these things. That's not the purpose of a presidential State of the Union address. He may say something like, my economic agenda. Very, very vague. This is prime time, folks. He wants to keep the viewer engaged. He doesn't want it to turn it into a YouTube channel. So that is why you're not going to hear these words during the address. So the president, however, has made it very clear outside of the presidential address that these checks are going out. The Build Back Better Act 1 will get passed, number one. Number two, that this continuing resolution will also get passed. He's not going to talk about that because that takes 30 minutes to even tell the American viewer what is a continuing resolution. They don't watch this channel. Not everyone. Well, most people do, but not everyone. So they won't know if they're just tuning in to broadcast media. What is a continuing resolution? He'll lose the viewer. He's going to get right to the point, and he has a lot of other things to cover. So, will Build Back Better Act happen? Yes. Will you get checks? Yes. Will there be lots of checks? Yes. Do you qualify for the checks? Yes. Are they still pushing to put MSC checks in there? Yes. Are you going to hear him talk about it? No, absolutely not. He doesn't have time to do it tonight. And he has a lot of other subject matters, which I'm going to go over as well later in this video, but there you go. Now, the first check that you are likely to get from all of this is the potential of a stimulus check in the continuing resolution. The continuing resolution has an inherent deadline just a few days away from us now, folks. It's going to get passed. The negotiations have finished. And he ain't going to bring it up tonight, Joe Biden, because it's going to put people to sleep because they won't understand what he's talking about. And that continuing resolution is all lined up perfectly. So what is it? And what's at issue right tonight? The continuing resolution is a CR, is a bill to fund the federal government, done every 3 to 6 months. And the opportunity to insert a stimulus check there is lined up perfectly as we go into tonight. $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds, which amounts to enough for a $2,000 stimulus check, the result of bipartisan negotiations, House and Senate, Republican and Democrat, done. Everything is lined up perfectly to get a check in there. We've been covering this on this channel since 2020. In early 2020, we had gotten our first stimulus check. It was used up. And then what happened after that was we needed more money. We were told about a second stimulus package, thousands of pages of length, and 11 months of negotiations didn't give us anything, so I came up with the creation. CR for stimulus. If you're in the live chat right now, write that hashtag campaign and tell me where you're tuned in from as well. I came with the idea to put a stimulus check in a continued resolution, inherent deadline, quick, fast turnaround, small, bipartisan support, get it out. created here on this channel, and you as the Purple Power community of this channel, the biggest advocacy group in the United States, you advocate for it, and guess what? We made history. The $600 stimulus check went out in December 2020 because we got into the CR. The CR got done. It went out, and the rest happened. Second stimulus fell apart, though. Second stimulus never had a bill, never had a vote, never had anything, and thank goodness for CR. So 4 weeks ago, I said to viewers on the show, do you want CR back on? And they said yes. And here we are. CR for Stimulus 1.0 lined up perfectly as we go into this final, well, now we're out of February, in these early days of March, and now the opportunity is there. I'll go over the latest details you need to know in the second half of how the CR for Stimulus 1.0 is lined up so well. Then, we'll be looking at SS300, Joe Biden's opportunity right after CR for Stimulus 1.0 to raise your benefits up $200 30 days from now, and then $100 later this year. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, rural benefits, he doesn't need an act of Congress. He doesn't need executive order. He just needs a phone call. And I have the breaking news of why it needs to be done today, because guess who's talking on Capitol Hill all this week? It's this guy. And his name is Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve. And there's breaking news tonight about where inflation is going and what Jay Powell is doing with it. You want to hear this because this impacts your wallet and SS300. Meantime, if you got a stimulus check today but went to go fill up the gas at the pump, you may be a little surprised what you're getting into. This is a major breaking news story tonight. If you've been watching the shows about the channel today, I went on air this morning saying that the price of Brent crude gasoline internationally had gone from a threshold worry level of 100 to 101 to then 102. And tonight, it's even higher. This is a major economic emergency happening right tonight. It's very dire. It's very serious. It will be addressed in some part during the State of the Union address, and it's all the result of Vladimir Putin's active aggression out of the Kremlin. I'll have the latest details tonight and what Joe Biden is doing and what he can do, but also what other world leaders are doing tonight. In solidarity with Ukraine, we stand behind Ukraine, but we also stand as an economic force against the Kremlin. What they're doing tonight to ensure that world economies do not collapse because gasoline prices are spiraling out of control. The latest details tonight in this breaking news report that you need to know, direct from Santa Monica. Plus, time for some money? Yes. We're going to look back at your opportunity to get big money tonight. Viewers have gotten thousands of dollars this week, and it's your opportunity to get some thousands of dollars as well. Money is king, and that's what we do on this channel. The big exciting details of how to get those sums of money coming up in the second half of this video. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. As a special 1 hour breaking news report of LALATE continues, direct from Santa Monica, California. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. See you back in 60 seconds.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
So where is inflation tonight? Many analysts, including Powell's chief governors, says that inflation is stagnant, won't be going higher, but also won't be going down lower at the moment. That is good news. But the better news is that Jay Powell needs to come in and soften his approach this week. Speaking on Capitol Hill this week, Jay Powell is to give you indications of whether he's going to come in with a half basis point or quarter basis point as the first of 5 FOMC meetings. And guess what? Analysts believe that he should ease it across the board. That is the situation with Jay Powell. Now let's turn to a bigger issue, which is how to get that SS300 done. All that Joe Biden has to do is make the phone call. Joe, make the phone call. The President of the United States has a series of tools in his toolbox of what to do to fix certain things and give you money, and this is the easiest one. In the middle of the pandemic, you were struggling on SSI and SSDI, Social Security and rental benefits, veterans benefits. He said you needed $200. Now we have inflation, runaway gas, runaway prices, and all he has to do is pick up the phone, Joe, and speak to your Social Security administrator you replaced with commissioners. You replaced for Commissioner Saul, and say replace COLA with inflation. That'll give millions of Americans who are in need of benefits, more benefits right now in an inflationary environment and a runaway energy crisis at the moment because of Vladimir Putin's acts of aggression, more money in the bank. Very, very simple. $200 a month right now because inflation has not come down from Jay Powell yet. And then another $100 in December when inflation is likely come in about $400, likely come in about 4% across the board. That is SS 300, and that's what Joe Biden should do across the board. Now, the other issue, which is very important to note tonight, is the massive energy crisis that could rip apart any type of money that I even get you on this channel. $600 stimulus check, $1,000 stimulus check, $2,000, $5,000 stimulus check. What if you go to the price of the pump and get some gasoline and suddenly it's $20 a gallon? Suddenly the check is not worth anything. The issue at hand is that never in this year's channel have I seen a news cycle change so quickly in just a few hours. If you've been with this channel throughout the day, you saw me on the morning's broadcast, live on air this morning, telling you what had happened to the price of gasoline then, growing from about $1 to $1.05, and then suddenly growing even more. What happened? By tonight, the price of gasoline is at $107.26, the highest number since July 2014. And this is not a sustainable number, folks. This is big trouble across the board. This is not a stable number, and it's the result of the acts of aggression by Vladimir Putin against Ukraine. Tonight, what's the issue, and what do you need to know, and why is this so scary across the land? The issue at hand is that when we talk about gasoline, it could absolutely destroy any economy and could destroy any stimulus check, whether big or small, in a blink of an eye. What goes on? Gasoline prices need to be stable. 1, they can't go out of control. 2, if they go out of control, the following events happen in a particular country. The country's economy gets destabilized, you go in potentially recession, stagflation, unemployment, and the economy shrinks. Nothing good. Now, if it's not your country, but it's a country you do business with, let's say it's not the United States, but it's France or England, then your country would get badly hit. Why does this happen? It happens when there's less gasoline available, or barrels of gasoline, the price goes up. Why is there less gasoline tonight? You know the situation across the board. The economic sanctions that the U.S. and Western allies have put against Russia has now taken those Russian barrels out of distribution. Now, there have been certain solutions that have been effectuated by the White House and the White House allies and neighboring countries in recent days. But tonight, I'm going to show you how no one thought that the spike that came today in a matter of 2 hours would ever happen. $100 a barrel to 107 in just a few hours. What went on? I have the latest details tonight, and boy, folks, it is very, very scary. Here is what is at issue. Russia is not actually the number one provider of oil around the globe, but it is a major provider. Venezuela is actually number one. And the way that countries work is they either manufacture their own oil, pump their own oil, get it out of the soil, or they import it. If you make your own oil, you save some. The United States makes oil out of West Texas and other states as well. It also imports some oil. In the case of Italy, doesn't make much at all. Makes a lot more olive oil. In the case of several countries near Russia, they're very dependent upon Russia's oil. So the numbers tonight are not good. And how bad are they? They're really bad. You've been hearing me report on this channel for the last few days that analysts believe we can sustain $100 a barrel for Brent crude international for 6 months if inflation doesn't go higher. So far, it looks like inflation is not going higher, so we're good. But can we stay at that $100? We can't. Why not? Because it's not working. We went at about 98 to 105 the day that Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. Then, step one was the White House released some of our oil and reserves, brought us down to about 94. That didn't stay very long because other countries need to release their oil. And the White House got some great alliances on the weekend to get some neighboring countries like China, Japan, South Korea, and the UK to release some of their oils. For countries like France and Italy, they need it right away. But that brought the price of oil, which had gone to 105 on day one of the Russian invasion, back to 101. This morning I was on air. Mornings LA. I had my notes. I come on camera with 8 hours of preparing for these recordings. And it was 101 by afternoons LA, by 2 hours, by noontime LA. It had shot up to 107. This is out of control, folks. 107. The highest level since 2014. The problem at issue is the following. The amount of strategic reserves that are being released are not enough. That there's too much missing barrels because Russia's out of the equation that we're not keeping up. The 60 million barrel release for 4% of emergency stockpiles is not sufficient for what has been removed because of the Russian sanctions. I mean, we released about 60 barrels in the last few days, and that's not going to cover for what is been removed because of Russia. Of the 60 barrels, 30 million are United States. It's not meaningless, but it pales in comparison to what is happening because of Russia. So what does Joe Biden need to do with this right tonight, folks? This is a major, serious issue, and I'm going to deal with the specifics and the complexities of it right now. He has to stabilize the price of gasoline in the United States. He has to stabilize the price of gasoline in our neighboring countries we do business with. If he doesn't, our economy goes to smithereens. It's very, very serious. The way you stabilize gasoline prices is you get more gasoline available. It's a very simple concept. More of it, it stabilizes the price. Where do you get gasoline? Where is it hiding behind the lobster shorts? Yeah, it is hiding behind the lobster shorts. But where else do you get it? Well, the best way you can get it is major producing countries that are potential allies. Venezuela is the number one producer of gasoline. Getting that deal with Iran, the nuclear agreement done, and getting millions and millions of barrels back into the pipeline, that's a great way. And then getting these neighboring countries that haven't released as many of their strategic reserves, releasing them quickly across the board. But you have to act sooner rather than later, because guess what? The analysis reports coming out tonight from New York are very, very scary for me to even report. Morgan Stanley earlier today said that it was looking at about $110 a barrel is where we're heading towards, and we could go to 125. Folks, I already told you over the weekend, we can't sustain more than $100 for 6 months. We can't do 110 or 125, and the war of Russia and Ukraine has just started. This is a major economic issue, and tonight you may see it in the President's State of the Union address. Let me explain to you why. Now, this is where we get a little complicated. Climate. Yeah, not a time to laugh, but here we go. The president has two parts of the Democratic Party, the moderate and the progressives. The progressives want everyone to drive an electric vehicle and not consume energy or produce any more energy. The moderate Democrats say we need some energy. How can we bring down the price of gasoline in the United States? Make some more. Where? West Texas. Why aren't we? because the progressives don't want us to increase gasoline production. They want us to increase, electric cell production. And so you're likely to see somewhere in the scope of tonight's State of the Union address or the Republican response or the analysis on broadcast media that the president's going to have to potentially ramp up production of gasoline in the United States to at least solidify a stable number here. And he can't buy in to the climate agenda of the progressives when in a time of economic disparity and economic emergency, we got to do this first before figuring out how many electric cars on the road. This is an urgent situation. And it's such an urgent situation that Executive Director Faith Birrell sent a statement, head of the International Energy Agency. The situation in the energy markets is very serious and demands our full attention. It's a fragile state of recovery. And here's my commentary tonight across the land of what would likely happen as well. You're going to see a lot of oil sites that say things like, there's no solution because it's getting worse by the minute. There is a solution, and you know what it is. You're going to be ordered to park the car in Western Europe. If you're in Western Europe and Italy doesn't have enough gasoline available, and no one's providing them gasoline because Russia's out of the equation, and Italy doesn't want their economy to go under, and we don't want their economy to go under because we'll be negatively impacted, Italy's going to have to say, park your car. You can't drive your car. We don't have enough gasoline for it. That's the solution in a dire situation when it comes to an energy crisis. And an energy crisis is very important on this channel because guess what? It impacts your money. You need to know it because who wants to talk about a stimulus check? It has no value because you can't even buy gasoline at a decent price. It's very important tonight, and you're likely to hear some parts of it during the presidential address. So what does Joe Biden need to do? He needs to get more of the allegiance of the Western allies to release more of the strategic petroleum reserves. He needs to lean on countries that have lots of production, like Venezuela, that often we have done good things for, and get them to release some oil to some of our partners. Russia is not the major producer of gasoline in the world. It's a fallacy. It's not even in the top 5. And the other countries are not necessarily our adversaries, so get their gasoline to be released into the pipeline so that we stabilize our economy tonight and that your money at home is stabilized. If we have runaway gasoline, then the economy becomes destabilized, and everything that you and I have worked for in the last year and a half of this channel to become financially independent could be negatively impacted by what's happening at the pump. And with that, that is where we are so far. Now let's go into some great news. Some great news is that viewers are getting big sums of money from third stimulus right now. And this is happening and you can get it. Doesn't have anything to do with what the price of the pump is or SS300 or the State of the Union address. Third stimulus has paid viewers in the last 24 hours thousands of dollars more. And I want you to get that money as well. So get your pen and paper ready. If you're a member of this channel, get that newsletter out. And we're going to go over those big success stories that came in overnight and how you can get money. This is $1,000. You want $1,000? I told you I get $1,000 for you in this recording. And it is third stimulus. What is third stimulus? Third stimulus was passed in the spring of last year to provide assistance to millions of Americans. In there was rent assistance, but I knew it was in there far before it became even a bill. I had a preview of it. At the time, in fall of 2020, I was helping giving people this money. I said, when third stimulus becomes law, you're going to be trained by me how to get it because you're going to need it and you want a lot of money. Who cares what the money is called if there's enough zeros behind it after that comma? And when it became law, I said, I can get you about $50,000. The average viewer defied logic and got $45,000 for this channel. So what is this? How do you get it? Where is it? Let's go over all those details. We are getting rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more, and it is available across every city, county, and state. Let's go over all the details of it. Get that pen and paper ready. Here we go. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You must do 3 things. You must reach out to all 6 places. You must do multiple applications, and you must also do multiple rounds. Open that membership newsletter, get all the incredible details across the board, and lean on those nonprofits to get those big sums of money that are available sometimes when you have problems finding it locally. Now, the success stories that came in overnight are absolutely incredible. And every single day, more viewers have more success stories. If you have a success story, send it to me on private message, Facebook or Instagram. I'll feature them tomorrow on tomorrow's evening's LALATE special report as well. Bill Garasiti overnight sent this message. Left me speechless. LALATE, I got my rent paid for 1 year. 1 year? Wow. That is not a round of rent, folks. That is an entire year. He got 12 months of rent. Most viewers' rent on this channel is about $1,200 to $1,700. So that's a big one. That's about $17,000, $20,000. Incredible. 1 year of rent. The day before that, Charles Garman yesterday said, I got $1,000 for energy systems. Great job. Karen Phillips. Wonderful story. She got 3 months of rent and 3 months of utilities. And she said she had lost her job. She knows what she's going to do to pay her rent and utilities. And she said, I got 3 months of rent and utilities. LALATE, you're amazing. Average viewer of this channel gets 3 to 5 months for each round. What is a round? A round is a duration. So you get it. Let's say you started when this first became law in January of last year. Then you would have gotten 3 to 5 months. Then you did last summer. Then you did last fall. Let's say you just found this channel tonight. You do 3 to 5 months right now. That's generally where they pay out. They pay somewhere between 3 to 5 months. Now, if you got it in December last year and you haven't gotten it since then, and let's say you got it in November last year and you got November, December, January. Well, guess what? We're in March. Go get another round today. I'm watching you. I'm going to crack the whip. I'm watching you. Go get another round. And guess what? I brought it back on this channel in January. So go get another round. And the success stories, folks, look at this one. Brian Donahue. Hey, Purple Hawks, I just got a second round of rent for 5 months. That's a lot in one sentence. Second round, 5 months. So what was the first round? 6 months? That looks like another year guy there. Incredible. This is huge. Thank you, LALATE. Thank you, Brian. Bob Bacon, you know him from the shorts. He's in the live chat always. He got 3 more months of rent. Viewers understand that this is big sums of money. You can get this money today. It's available everywhere. City, county, and state. We don't care what money's called so long as we get a lot of it. And that money you can also get from the nonprofits if you have problems at a local basis. But guess what? The average viewer of this channel has gotten a lot of this. Upwards of $45,000 of checks. Go get this incredible sums of money. It is huge across the board. Don't wait. Get the money right today. Get it right today. And viewers like Nisi got that money in the last few days. She got $30,000 last year. Well, guess what? She got another $10,000. She got $7,000 of rent and $3,000 for utilities. Karen Joseph got $40,000 last week, which included $23,000 for rent and $12,000 for SNAP. She also got another $4,000 for utilities. It's just a big night, and we're just getting started because guess what? The situation, whether it's at the pump or at the home or whether it is at the Kremlin, the situation is very fluid across the board. I have more coming up in just a second, but here's what you need to know across the land of where we are tonight when we look at the situation of what's unfolding with Vladimir Putin and also Ukraine. The situation tonight is very fluid. And what you need to know is that with the ever-involving turn of events, there's a lot at issue to digest. What I want you to know is that the big Build Back Better Act will become law. You're not going to hear it on the State of the Union address. And all those incredible checks in there are staying in there. MSC, the Senators representative, will be added in there. And that the CR for stimulus is right there behind, right there in front of it, with also SS 300. All these incredible checks are part of the economic agenda of the President of the United States. He has a lot to cover and a lot to discuss. And in a given day, he's speaking with a lot of people, including the President of Ukraine, Zelensky, today. Those details are really unfolding, and it's too much in the State of the Union address to go over all those incredible elements at the same time. but they all impact your wallet. Let's look at some of those other checks in the Build Back Better Act that are in there that pay you big sums of money. They got in there the Pell Grant, $550 check for the college students. They got in the home repairs for you across the board. They got in there the children's check, CTC. They've added in there the MSC. They have the seniors checks, dental, vision, lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, and also the hearing and vision across the board. Then they got in there the nutrition checks, the car checks, and lots of checks that were in third stimulus repeated further out, like earned income tax credit and household tax credit checks as well. All those elements all impacting our wallet tonight. But what is happening on the ground overseas that impacts us at home tonight as well? Well, the situation in Russia tonight is that its economy is imploding. The U.S. sanctions and world sanctions against Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin are working. The central bank of Russia has remained ostensibly non-functioning and will suddenly be wiped off the map from the number 10 largest economy in the globe to potentially 20 by the end of this week, and then potentially the state of a Cuba thereafter. Vladimir Putin cannot get funds in or out of his country, and this is crippling his economy by the minute. The Kremlin remains the Kremlin's key source of funding, the central bank non-functioning, the stock market not functioning, and the ability to import or export anything from the country not functioning as well. His result, cutting off oil to other neighboring countries, not particularly a situation that helps him at all, but we have solutions for that tonight as well. What are the latest details you need to know that are brand new tonight in this special 1 hour breaking news report of where your money is impacted across the land? President Joe Biden spoke with the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, minutes before this time of this broadcast. It was about a 30-minute discussion by telephone. Spoke about security assistance, economic support, and humanitarian aid, says the official statement. The leaders discussed how the United States, with allies and partners, are working to hold Russia accountable, including imposing new sanctions that already have an impact on the Russian economy. The leaders discussed Russia's escalation of attacks on civilians in Ukraine, including today's bombing near Bayan Ya Holocaust Memorial. And Zelensky thanked the president for his support in the prior defense assistance and Russian sanctions. There was a precision attack by the Russian Defense Ministry against the capital today. Excuse me, there was a warned Russian Defense Ministry precision attack against the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv today. That has not happened. However, Russian state-controlled media claimed they were able to effectuate cyber attacks on Moscow, and those initially took out some TV towers in Ukraine in the capital city as Russian forces struck it, but Ukrainian forces were able to get a backup right away. The number of troops at issue is very fluid. Initially, I had told you back in October, before Halloween, there was 100,000 Russian troops at the border just sitting there. How many were dedicated so far initially in the first week of combat? 50,000. Then they ramped it up. Now about 80% of Russian troops are positioned near the Ukrainian border or on Ukrainian soil at the time of this broadcast. The issue is very fluid as the question mark is growing from a big new convoy. Satellite imagery obtained by U.S. News reports suggests that there is somewhere upwards of 40 miles of large convoy of Russian military outside the capital of Ukraine tonight. Now, these are 2 or 3 vehicles abreast of armored trucks, but it shows both a good and a bad for Ukrainian defense. The good is that the trucks ran out of gasoline. I'm not kidding. The also good for them is they have no food. Vladimir Putin gave them apparently 5-year-old stale food. I'm not making this stuff up, folks. So, analysts that I'm not a war analyst, are saying the Ukrainian military should go right to those stalled vehicles and deal with them right now when they're 40 miles out of town and have no food, gas, and, barely, have a map to figure out where they're going. It is literally, I'm not embellishing it. That's the situation right now. Elsewhere, the situation is still really unfolding as Vladimir Putin is threatening further acts of aggressions. And this is as we're trying to determine how the scope of the next 72 hours is going to look like. I stand with Ukraine. I mean, when I got these shirts, I had no idea if President Zelensky's comments were going to be an epiphany or not. He had a tweet. He said, "This may be the last time you see me." That was 2 days ago. Obviously, he's done an incredible job. And the dedication of resources continue to grow by the minute and by the hour. Those resources are both humanitarian and also military and financial. Many countries have really stepped up, but other countries need to step up a little bit more. Tonight, there is a new call by the United Nations to dedicate more resources for the refugees. And I don't know why this has to even be asked. It doesn't make any sense. Millions of refugees, we're at 500,000 at the moment, but it could be millions in just a short period of time, are now flooding into neighboring countries, and the United Nations saying, we need some relief. The question is why they do not have that relief ready and why they have to even ask for this relief. It should already be ready to cash a check for these millions of refugees flooding into neighboring countries like Hungary. Shouldn't even have to be an issue across the board. Where are we as we go into a big night of Evenings LA? Where we are right tonight is that the situation is unfolding dramatically. We do not know if this buffoonery of Vladimir Putin's military offensive is going to continue to be buffoonery like it is, or whether someone in this group is going to start to ramp it up. It has been a buffoonery military operation by Vladimir Putin. But that buffoonery has caused loss of life and has caused loss of economic disruption. And the economic disruption is hitting us like we never thought it would. $107 a barrel. I couldn't believe I could report that this morning when it was only $100 just 2 hours earlier. Gasoline prices out of control would destabilize our economy. The United States needs to figure out a better solution quicker. I'm not very happy with how the White House is dealing with the economic situation of the price of barrels, because guess what? You don't get this price of barrels under control, you can do 500,000 things to fix this economy, but that could destroy it in just a blink of an eye. Gasoline is not a Jay Powell situation. Gasoline is not a Nancy Pelosi situation or a Chuck Schumer situation. It is a President of the United States situation with world leaders. This burden sits with the president. I have to make this very clear. When things are bad, I got to tell you when it's bad. Economically, you got to stabilize the oil. You have to stabilize the oil, because if you don't and you have an energy crisis, everything goes very bad very quickly. And I'm not just talking about stocks and bonds. I'm talking about all the elements that we have fought so far in the last year and a half of this channel to stabilize this economy and become financially independent. You cannot become financially independent if the economy is in a tear because of an energy crisis that you don't have a backup plan for tonight. The numbers are very clear when we talk about the numbers of barrels of gasoline that are available and are not being released, and the number of gasoline barrels that are not available because of Russia and are not part of the equation. The end result is very simple. One, we don't need Russian oil. Two, we don't need to be driving the car if we're in a world of aggression by Vladimir Putin. So park the car in Italy and take the metro and make the trains and the buses free for 3 months, so we don't have to use a car in those neighboring countries that don't have any oil. Meantime, Japan and North Korea release some oil to these other countries so they can stabilize, release more of our oil, and here I'm going to go. Rarely you're going to hear me say this. Moderate Democrats are going to say this right. They got it right. Moderate Democrats are correct. They got to ramp up production of oil in the United States and West Texas right now. You don't want to leave us behind on the production of oil, because we don't know how long the situation overseas unravels. Tonight, the great news is that all the incredible checks that you were promised in the fourth stimulus recon will become law. Whether they're mentioned or not in the State of the Union address, likely not. Whether Build Back Better Act is ever coming out of the president's lips tonight, likely not. You're going to get all those incredible checks because he has a lot of other things to cover in a broadcast tonight. You're going to see an economy in which the Federal Reserve, that Jay Powell out of New York, has to deal with inflation, but cannot come in too hard on inflation. Because if he comes in too hard when he does not even know what Vladimir Putin's next move is, Jay Powell, could destabilize the economy, and he doesn't want to do that after he's tried to really do such a valiant job to keep it stabilized during COVID. Then we had the big issue about oil and how to stabilize it, and we have the other issues across the board, like humanitarian relief that we need to deal with, and everything that needs to be focused across the land. We're all one people. We are all one loving community. We are all one society where we work together and we work to help one another. This is a country that is bred upon love and bred upon the spirit of helping people. It's a beautiful country, Ukraine. It's a gorgeous country, and the issue at hand is, are we doing enough? Are we doing it right? And are we doing it fast enough? And do we have a backup plan if the situation changes? All those details and more as we go into a big evening's LALATE, and the continuation continues throughout the night. But I stand with Ukraine. You should as well. Thank you for joining me on this special report direct from Santa Monica, California. The situation's far from over. Stay informed, stay focused. Join me next as the continuation unfolds on Evenings Countdown, Street, and Stimulus. I Stand with Ukraine edition, and also Evenings Extra tonight at 8 o'clock. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.